You ever been betrayed, lied to, hurt by someone you thought had your back? Feels like a sucker punch to the soul, doesn't it? Yeah. That pain, that confusion, it's real. But here's the thing. When someone cheats on you, lies to you, or hurts you, it's not about you. It's about them. Now listen close. There are only 3 reasons why people do these things. Just 3. And once you understand them, once you get what's really going on, you stop blaming yourself, you stop chasing answers you'll never get, and you take back the power that was always yours to begin with. So let's go there. Let's unpack it. Not for them, for you. Because you deserve clarity, you deserve peace, and you deserve to walk out of that storm stronger than you walked in. Pain is an inevitable part of life, and while it often feels like a punishment, it carries within it a purpose. When we're hurt, betrayed, or let down, the immediate instinct is to question why it happened to us. We look for reasons, someone to blame, or an escape from the discomfort, but the truth is, pain is not meant to destroy us, it's meant to teach us. It's a wake-up call, a teacher disguised in the form of struggle. It pushes us out of our comfort zones, forcing us to confront parts of ourselves we might otherwise ignore. Pain demands reflection. It makes us pause and examine the choices, relationships, and circumstances that led us to where we are. It teaches us to recognize patterns, both in our behavior and in how we allow others to treat us. Through pain, we gain clarity about what we truly value and where we need to set boundaries. It forces us to see the red flags we might have overlooked or the ways we've compromised ourselves for the sake of others. Pain also builds resilience. Each time we endure, we grow stronger. It's like a muscle being stretched and torn to rebuild itself with more strength. It teaches us patience, endurance, and how to move forward even when it feels impossible. In time, it can even transform into wisdom, a quiet understanding that the things we once thought would break us are the same things that shaped us. Ultimately, pain is a messenger signaling that change is needed or that growth is happening. It's not a punishment for something we did wrong, but a tool to guide us toward a better version of ourselves. Though it's hard to embrace in the moment, its lessons become clearer with time. People cheat or hurt because of insecurity, selfishness, or emotional immaturity. When someone betrays your trust or causes you pain, it's easy to take it personally, to think it's something you did or didn't do. But more often than not, their actions stem from internal struggles that have nothing to do with you. Insecurity drives people to seek validation, sometimes at the expense of others. They look outward for something to fill a void within themselves, even if it means breaking promises or betraying someone who cares about them. Selfishness is another key driver. Some people prioritize their own desires, needs, or impulses above everything else. They act without regard for the consequences their actions have on others because in that moment, they're focused only on satisfying themselves. They might justify it, blame others, or minimize the harm they've caused, but it all comes down to putting themselves first, no matter the cost. Then there's emotional immaturity. Not everyone has the tools or the emotional intelligence to navigate relationships in a healthy way. Help explain someone's hurtful behavior. Accountability. They don't excuse it. Understanding the root conversations about gaining perspective or act out in ways that hurt others or justifying their actions because they don't know how to process recognizing their own choices are reflections they may lash out, deceive, or take tendencies or lack of emotional growth. They allows you to separate their behavior from your own worth. It empowers you to step away from their chaos and focus on your own healing. Their actions are a reflection of them, not your worth. When someone cheats, lies, or hurts you, it's natural to internalize the pain and wonder what you did wrong or why you weren't enough. But the truth is, their choices say far more about their character, values, and emotional state than they do about you. People make decisions based on their own insecurities, weaknesses, and unresolved issues. And those decisions are not a mirror of your value or contribution. When someone betrays or hurts you, it's often because they are projecting their own struggles onto the relationship. Their dishonesty, selfishness, or lack of commitment doesn't mean you're unworthy of love, trust, or respect. It means they lack the tools to navigate relationships in a healthy way. They may have been dishonest because they feared confrontation, hurt you because they didn't know how to process their emotions, or cheated because they were searching for validation in the wrong places. None of these actions are about who you are. They're about who they are. It's important to separate their behavior from your self-esteem. If you tie your value to how someone treats you, you hand over your power and allow their flaws to define you. But when you realize their actions stem from their own internal struggles, you take back control. You see their behavior for what it is, a reflection of their own unhealed wounds, poor decisions, or lack of emotional maturity. This perspective doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives you clarity. It allows you to stop blaming yourself for their mistakes and reminds you that your worth is inherent. Their actions don't diminish your value. They reveal their own shortcomings. Understanding this frees you to heal without carrying unnecessary guilt or self-doubt. Stop seeking closure from someone who broke you. It's a natural human desire to want answers, to make sense of why someone hurt you, betrayed you, or let you down. You think, if I could just understand why they did it, then maybe I could move on. But the truth is, closure is not something someone else can give you. It's something you create for yourself. Seeking it from the person who hurt you often leads to more confusion, frustration, and pain. When someone breaks your trust, their explanation, if they even offer one, usually reflects their perspective, their justification, and their version of the story. It may not align with the truth or your need for clarity. They might minimize their actions, deflect blame, or give vague excuses that leave you feeling even more unsettled. Waiting for them to admit their fault or give you the perfect reason can trap you in a cycle of emotional dependence, keeping you tied to the very pain you're trying to escape. Closure doesn't come from hearing an apology or an explanation that makes everything make sense. It comes from accepting the reality of what happened and choosing to let go of the need for their validation. The actions they took were theirs, and their choices often have more to do with their own inner turmoil than anything you did. You don't need their acknowledgement to move forward. You only need to reclaim your power by deciding that your peace matters more than their reasons. So, by letting go of the need for closure from them, you open yourself up to the healing process. And you begin to focus on yourself, on processing your emotions, and on building a future where your happiness isn't dependent on someone else's actions or words. Closure, in its truest form, comes from within. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, it means freeing yourself. When someone hurts you deeply, the idea of forgiveness can feel impossible or even unjust. You might think that forgiving them lets them off the hook or minimizes the pain they caused. But forgiveness isn't about erasing what happened, excusing their behavior, or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about choosing to release the emotional hold they have over you so you can find peace within yourself. Holding on to anger, resentment, or bitterness keeps you tied to the person who hurt you. It's like carrying a heavy weight that drains your energy and prevents you from moving forward. You replay the hurt, relive the betrayal, and allow the pain to take up space in your heart and mind. But forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. It's about saying, I refuse to let your actions control my emotions anymore. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting what happened or allowing that person back into your life. It doesn't mean tolerating toxic behavior or ignoring the lessons you've learned. Instead, forgiveness is a boundary you set for your own healing. It's acknowledging the pain, accepting that you can't change the past, and deciding not to let that pain define your future. It's important to remember that forgiveness is a process, not a one-time decision. It might take time to let go of the anger or to stop reliving the hurt, but each step toward forgiveness is a step toward reclaiming your power. It's an act of self-love, a choice to prioritize your peace over the actions of someone who didn't value you. By forgiving, you're not forgetting what happened. You're freeing yourself from the hold it has on you so you can move forward without the burden of the past. Set boundaries that protect your peace. When someone has hurt or betrayed you, it's essential to recognize the importance of boundaries, not just to keep them from hurting you again, but to create the emotional space you need to heal and grow. Boundaries are not about controlling others, they're about defining what is and isn't acceptable in your life. They are an act of self-respect and a way of reclaiming your power after someone has taken it from you. Without boundaries, you risk falling into patterns of overexposure to the same pain or allowing someone's harmful behavior to continue unchecked. Setting boundaries might mean limiting contact with the person who hurts you, cutting off communication entirely, or redefining the nature of the relationship. It's about being clear with yourself and others about what you will and won't tolerate moving forward. Boundaries also extend beyond interactions with others. They include protecting your own mental and emotional well-being. This might mean saying no to situations that trigger old wounds, taking time away to reflect and recharge, or seeking support from those who uplift and empower you. It's about prioritizing your peace over any feelings of guilt, obligation, or the fear of how others might react. Enforcing boundaries requires courage and consistency. People may test them, challenge them, or even try to manipulate you into letting them slide. But standing firm is a declaration of your self-worth. It's a statement that says, I will not allow anyone to disrupt my healing or compromise my happiness. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut others out permanently. They are guidelines to ensure that anyone who enters your space does so with respect, care, and the understanding that your peace is non-negotiable. By setting them, you honor yourself and create the foundation for healthier relationships in the future. Healing begins with accepting what happened, not denying it. When you're hurt, it's natural to want to push the pain away, to minimize it, or even to pretend it didn't happen. Denial feels like a shield. It protects you from the full weight of the hurt, at least temporarily. But true healing can only start when you stop resisting the reality of what occurred and allow yourself to face it head on. Everyone's been hurt. Everyone's been loved. Everyone's been ridiculed. But we can choose to dive into it and recognize it's head on. Acceptance doesn't mean condoning what happened or being okay with it. It means acknowledging the truth so you can begin to process and move forward. The first step to healing is letting go of the what ifs and whys. Obsessing over what you could have done differently or why someone acted the way they did keeps you stuck in the past. Acceptance means saying, this happened, it hurt, I can't change it, but I can decide how to respond to it. It's about being honest with yourself, even if the truth is painful, because only by confronting that pain can you begin to release it. Acceptance also allows you to feel your emotions fully. Anger, sadness, betrayal, these feelings are natural, and suppressing them only prolongs the hurt. By acknowledging what you feel, you give yourself permission to grieve, to process, and eventually to let go. Healing isn't linear and it doesn't happen overnight. But every step you take in accepting your reality is a step toward reclaiming your peace. By embracing acceptance, you shift your focus from the past to the present. You begin to understand that while you can't control what happened, you can control how you respond and how you rebuild. Acceptance doesn't erase the pain, but it opens the door to growth, resilience, and the possibility of a future unburdened by what was. Your value isn't determined by how others treat you. It's easy to internalize the way people behave toward you, especially when their actions are hurtful or dismissive. When someone lies, cheats, or betrays your trust, you might start to question your worth, wondering if you weren't enough to be loved, respected, or valued. But the truth is, someone else's actions are not a measure of your value. Their behavior reflects their character, not your inherent worth. Too often we look to others to validate us, to show us that we're lovable or deserving, but placing your self-worth in the hands of others gives them power they don't deserve. When they treat you poorly, it's easy to assume that you're the problem, but their inability to show care or respect stems from their own limitations, insecurities, or immaturity. You are not defined by their failure to recognize your value. Your worth is intrinsic. It doesn't come from the approval, attention, or affection of others. It comes from within. You don't need someone else to tell you you're enough. You already are. Just because someone couldn't see your value doesn't mean it isn't there. Sometimes people can't see the good in others because they're too consumed by their own issues to look beyond themselves. Reclaiming your value starts with changing the narrative in your mind. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Ask, what does their behavior say about them? Instead of tying your identity to their actions, affirm your own strengths, qualities, and worth. You are deserving of love and respect, regardless of how others may have treated you. Never let someone's inability to value you make you forget how valuable you are. Walk away with grace, not bitterness. It's natural to feel anger, resentment, or frustration when someone has hurt you, but holding on to those negative emotions only keeps you tethered to the pain. Walking away doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending the hurt didn't happen. It means choosing to move forward in a way that protects your peace and integrity, regardless of the circumstances. Grace is not about excusing someone's behavior or allowing them to continue mistreating you. It's about maintaining your dignity in the face of adversity. It's the strength to lead without dragging the past with you. When you walk away with grace, you don't carry the bitterness of the betrayal. You refuse to let it define who you are or how you behave moving forward. Bitterness keeps you stuck in a cycle of resentment, replaying the hurt over and over again. It clouds your judgment, distorts your perspective, and prevents you from seeing the lessons in the experience. But grace allows you to let go, to release the grip the past has on you. Walking away with grace means refusing to let someone else's actions ruin your future or rob you of your joy. This doesn't mean you pretend everything is fine or that you forget what happened. Grace is not a denial of the pain. It's an affirmation of your strength to rise above it. It's understanding that while you can't control what others do, you can control how you respond. You choose to carry forward the lessons learned, the wisdom gained, and the resilience that comes from having survived. Walking away with grace means knowing your worth, trusting your instincts, and not allowing anyone to keep you in a place of suffering longer than necessary. Use the pain as fuel to become stronger and wiser. Pain, while one of the most difficult experiences to endure, can also be one of the most powerful catalysts for growth. When you're hurt, it feels like your world has been turned upside down, and in many ways it has. But in the rubble of what was, there's an opportunity to rebuild yourself. stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. The key is how you choose to respond to the pain. You can let it break you, define you, and keep you stuck in the past, or you can use it as the fuel that propels you forward. Every struggle, every betrayal, and every heartbreak carries with it a lesson. By embracing those lessons, you transform the hurt into something that adds value to your life. You learn what to avoid, what to appreciate, and what boundaries to set. You become more attuned to your own worth and less willing to settle for anything that doesn't honor that. Pain forces you to confront your limitations and weaknesses, but it also uncovers your strength. You learn that you can endure, that you have the resilience to rise after falling, and that resilience is a superpower. The next time you face adversity, you'll approach it with more confidence, more insight, and more wisdom because you've learned to harness the power of your pain. Instead of letting pain leave you bitter or broken, let it guide you to a version of yourself that is more authentic, more empowered, and more in control of your future. Pain doesn't have to be a permanent scar. It can be the spark that ignites a new chapter in your life. One where you're stronger, wiser, and more aligned with who you're truly meant to be. So here's the thing. When someone cheats, lies, or hurts you, it's easy to get lost in the pain, to question your worth, and to chase closure that may never come. But let me remind you, what they do doesn't define who you are. Their actions are a reflection of them, not of you. And while it's hard to accept, pain is not a punishment. It's a lesson that pushes you to grow, to learn, and to become stronger. It's a chance for you to reclaim your power, to set boundaries that protect your peace, and to heal by accepting what happened, not denying it. Your worth was never dependent on how they treated you. It was always within you. Don't let their inability to value you make you forget your own. Walk away with grace, not bitterness, because holding on to that negativity only keeps you tethered to the past. And when you finally let go, use the pain as fuel to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient than ever before. You are not broken by the hurt, my friend. You are reshaped, redefined, and reborn. And with every step you take toward healing, you become more of the person you were always meant to be. So don't let anyone's betrayal, dishonesty, or cruelty steal your peace. Own your power. Let it fuel your growth. And above all, know that your worth is untouchable. It's time to rise.